Chapter 33 Freedom in an Unfree World. We've come a long way, you and I, since we started in the first chapter. We've covered a great many matters and discussed a great many questions that affect your life. It doesn't matter whether you've agreed with everything I've said or even a large part of it. My main objective has been to get you thinking about yourself, to open up new avenues of freedom for you, to help you think of ways to use direct alternatives to build a better life for you. The important thing is that you take yourself more seriously, that you respect your own view of the world and make sure that it is really your view, not something you've been told. What I've said should never be considered to be the final answer to any of the questions raised, not even by me. For I'm growing daily. Today I understand more about life and myself and my ways of living than I did when I began to write this book. There's no way that anything I write could be guaranteed to be my last words on the subject. But that doesn't alter the usefulness of the ideas. What I say is a means of stimulating you to find ideas and rules for yourself. Rules you can live by because they come from you. So whether you agree or disagree is unimportant. It's even unimportant if I've changed my mind about some point in the book since I wrote it. I don't expect you to live by my code, any more than I would live by someone else's code. I only hope you can find a way of life that fits your unique nature, one that will bring you the freedom and happiness that life has to offer. Your life belongs wholly to you. Make it what you think it should be. Trust yourself. For you, your views are far more important than mine. More than anything else, I have wanted to demonstrate that freedom is possible, that you can live your life as you want to live it, right here and now, without having to change the world. That may have seemed impossible when you first picked up this book. I hope it seems much more realistic now. And as you set to work at the task, the benefits you receive should make it seem even more realistic. My freedom. In my own case, I have had several restrictions to eliminate in order to make freedom a reality. The first was an uncomfortable marriage, but when I broke free of that, it became obvious to me that there were no restrictions that couldn't be surmounted. The next restrictions to conquer were mostly philosophical. I had always thought highly of my own mind, but I too often ignored conclusions I'd reached, and it was too easy to submerge my own nature in an attempt to conform to whatever philosophical or intellectual set I found myself in. Gradually, however, I discovered the benefits of acting upon my own ideas and desires. I stopped trying to enjoy the way of life I should live, and found ways to live as I wanted to. A big philosophical breakthrough for me was the realization that my own freedom was not only possible, but far more important than the establishment of a free society. I came to see how foolish it was to waste my precious life trying to make the world into what I'd thought it should be. I had always been intuitively partial towards direct alternatives, but now I was determined to build my whole life upon them. The next step created a way of earning the money I wanted without being a slave to the treadmill. I never actually had that objective in mind, but the simple application of the principles I've expressed in this book brought it about. Finally, the integration of all these principles into a single philosophy has made it possible for me to enjoy the blessings of freedom in all areas of my life. It has helped me understand myself, to understand those I deal with, to find valuable friendships, to understand what I crave in romantic relationships, and to find that, and to keep myself out of boxes without any longer having to make a conscious effort to do so. Now, freedom lets me enjoy each day as a new opportunity to discover new ways to taste life. Although I make more money than ever before, my work commitments are very few, and always for brief periods. Most of each year is a free period in which I can pursue whatever I want. My relationships with friends are on a very positive basis. They include no obligations, no duties, no claims to be presented for payment. I've learned how to say no, and I've learned how to make it easy for others to say no to me when that's what they want to do. When the telephone rings, I never have to fear that it represents a new burden I must cope with. Instead, the ringing of the telephone means a new opportunity that I can accept or turn down as I choose. In the years since my divorce in 1964, I have enjoyed relationships with wonderful women who have added to my life. None of those situations has evolved into a lifelong relationship, but none of them had to in order to be of value. Each has provided a positive benefit, filling me with rich emotions and a sense of excitement about life. Each relationship has been better than any before it because I've continued to learn more about what I need in order to be happy, and because I've continued to learn how to emphasize the positive benefits in each one. In every area of my life, freedom has been to me like the sunshine, dispelling the gray shadows and spotlighting the beauties that life has to offer. I don't believe I will ever be 100% free or 100% happy or 100% knowledgeable, but that isn't necessary. Life is a joyous experience as it is. Each new discovery and each new freedom brings its own rewards. There's no all-or-nothing reward way out in the distance that must be reached to justify the quest. There are occasional moments of sadness or pain, but they are always short-lived. No setback can destroy me. There are too many good things in life. When one is denied to me, I have many other opportunities. There are so many wonderful things to enjoy: good music, good food, good companionship, new discoveries, intellectual stimulation, and challenging monetary opportunities. I have enjoyed too many of them to be willing to give them up for a fruitless crusade to change the world or any part of it. Your freedom. My way of life may be very different from what you want for yourself, so don't judge the value of freedom by what I've done with mine. Use the tremendous power you have to make your life what you dream it can be. The examples I've used throughout the book were given to demonstrate that there are many practical ways by which you can improve your life and remove restrictions. They were never meant to suggest that you should do the same things I have done. In the same way, the suggestions made were designed to show you that there's always a way, as long as you're not looking for ways to change others. If I've written with passion and urgency, it's because the ideas were important to me. You will have to decide what's important to you. You may have wished that some of the ideas were covered in more detail. There may have been questions raised in your mind for which you wanted answers. Let that be the stimulus for you to investigate and come up with answers that are suitable for you. If you're determined to make things better, you will probably find the answers you need. If one doesn't work, look for another. The problem for most people is that they wish things were better, but they are not determined to make them so. The important thing is to concentrate upon what you can do by yourself, upon your own initiative, without having to convince others of the rightness of your ideas. That's the common thread that unites all my suggestions. They are direct alternatives. None of them involves changing, educating, or forcing anyone to do what you want. This is by far the easiest way to gain your freedom. It is always much, much harder to try to make other people do what you want them to. Increasing rewards. There are rewards every step of the way. First, you can use direct alternatives to eliminate any restrictions that might have caused you to read this book. As you enjoy the benefits of that newly won freedom, you can apply the principles to broader areas of your life, to open up new hours, days, and opportunities for positive experiences. Along the way, the sense of your own sovereignty will probably become more and more real to you. It's easy to accept intellectually that you make your own decisions and can choose to do what you want with your life. But emotionally, you can find that hard to live by. Slowly but surely, this realization that you are the ruler of your own universe should become more vivid on new and deeper levels of your attitude. As that happens, you'll become more aware of your own power. You will know that you can handle anything that comes, and you'll know that there is no reason to accept concepts and relationships that don't offer you what you want. The rewards will be magnified as your sense of sovereignty underlies your way of life. You will automatically avoid boxes and traps. You will be ever alert for opportunities and new ways to experience happiness. And you will probably realize more deeply that you never need to change other people. You will know that there are always easier ways to have what you want. And that's a greater reward than what you get from removing any single restriction from your life. I'm sure that many people accept the abstract principle that you shouldn't try to change others or interfere with their lives. And yet, the principle is rarely applied in practice. An individual might say, I don't want to change anyone, and yet he might still spend a great deal of his time trying to get others to agree with his views, or trying to prevent someone from doing something he thinks will be bad for him, or trying to change people by participating in a movement over a burning issue, or voting to prevent others from doing what they want to do. In all these ways, he's trying to change others, to make them do other than what their natures lead them to do. And he doesn't have to. Throughout this book, I've tried to demonstrate that there are always plenty of alternatives available to you that don't require that you take on the responsibility to make others see the light. The recognition that you don't have to change others isn't the same as losing the urge to do so, however. The urge can remain long after you have accepted the superiority of direct alternatives. You may often find yourself tempted to intervene in the affairs of others in order to make things go your way. But as you begin to enjoy the benefits of non-intervention, you'll probably find the urge fading away, slowly but surely. At first, it may come only with strangers. You will lose the desire to guide, suggest, change, or alter those who aren't immediately relevant to you. Then, as this attitude permeates your way of life, the time may come when you'll no longer see any point in trying to influence your spouse, your lover, your close friends, your business associates. You will be so aware that each person must go his own way, in his own way, that you won't want to sour fruits of a victory that requires someone else to change his ways. What you get from trying to restrain someone's natural impulses is of little benefit to you. What you get from a person whose desires naturally benefit you is magnificent. The breakthrough. And so, one day, you may discover that you've achieved a new freedom, and emotional freedom that's greater than any you've known before. Freedom from the urge to control others. When you have that freedom, you will experience a wondrous sense of weightlessness, an absence of burdens, a freedom to let the world unfold as it will, adventurously and challengingly. You will know that whatever happens isn't your problem because you no longer have the responsibility to see that others do what they should. This freedom has been completely mine only for a year or two, so it's still new and awesome to me. I doubt that I could ever put into words the effect it has had upon my life. I know that it makes me feel lighter than air. I'm relieved of all the burdens that come from feeling that someone else must act in a way that I want. Even when the actions of others affect me directly, I know that there are many alternatives available to me. I don't have to feel that someone must act in one prescribed way. I can let each person be himself, do as he chooses, learn what he wants to learn, go where he wants to go. I have no duty to restrain him. What a relief. Does a friend become angry with me because of something I've said or done? I can explain my position in case he wants to understand. But I don't have to convince him of anything. There are always new and probably more appropriate friends. Are there people who are polluting the atmosphere? Let them. There are plenty of ways I can make sure that doesn't affect me. Do the politicians want to impose new restrictions? Let them. I'll find ways of avoiding them easily enough. I couldn't stop the restrictions anyway, and I have no urge to waste my precious time trying. I have no temptation to vote, to try to stop a candidate who promises new follies. If he's elected, he'll probably do just what his opponent would have done, which means whatever he has to do to consolidate his power. I'm free of that awesome responsibility that once commanded me to worry about everything, that once caused me to continually try to make others see what I understand, that once made the actions of others my responsibility and concern. Have I retired to a cave somewhere to live as a hermit? Obviously not. It doesn't even mean that I'm continually switching friendships. Nearly all the friends I've made in the past 9 years are still my friends, no matter how little or how much contact there may be between us. Nor does it mean that I could never find a lifetime love relationship. It only means that I don't have to feel that any given romance, new or existing, must be made to last forever. I'm free to let my lover be totally free. Nor does it mean that I never speak my mind about a difference of opinion with someone. I'm quite willing to state my view to persons who are important to me, but I'm not trying to change anyone. I use my view as a suggestion, a way to find out more about him, where he stands, and whether he's responsive to my thoughts. If he finds my alternative attractive, it may provide a new opportunity for me, but I am not dependent upon his acceptance. I am fully prepared to go elsewhere if necessary. I have everything to gain and nothing to lose, except the small amount of time necessary to present the suggestion. I feel this way whether the situation involves a personal relationship or a business proposition. Even when selling for a living, I never felt dependent upon any given prospect. I never felt that I had to convince anyone of anything. And that attitude has resulted in far more success and far less frustration than most people get when they feel they must be persuasive to get what they want. When I lost the urge to control others, I also lost all need to hate or fear anyone. The world is no longer divided between the good guys and the bad guys. Now, I can see that each person is seeking his own happiness, each in his own way, just as I am. and that there are some people with whom I have a conflict of interest. But I don't have to hate or fear anyone. Those emotions come from a sense of vulnerability, from the feeling that someone has to act in a certain way to please you. When he doesn't, and you've depended upon him or depended upon your ability to make him be as you want, you can easily respond with hate or fear. But when you're willing to let each person go his own way, you lose all need to hate anyone. Neither do I have to worry whether anyone is getting away with anything. I'm not the world's policeman. I know that everyone will experience the consequences of his own acts. If his acts are right, he'll get good consequences. If they're not, he'll suffer for it. The consequences are the only standard that matters. And I'm certainly not needed to impose those consequences. It isn't my concern to see that justice prevails. It automatically prevails upon me and everyone else. Justice is the natural, inevitable consequence that follows every act. Any attempt to interfere with that natural justice will just bring about additional consequences that I might not like for myself. So there is no reason for me to be concerned about anyone else's business, except as I decide how I will deal with that which affects me. When you achieve freedom from the urge to control others, your life is truly your own, to make of it almost anything you might want. For you're no longer burdened by the need to make others understand. Your time is no longer regulated by plans that depend upon your persuasive powers or your ability to dominate situations. You're free to choose among thousands of direct alternatives, free to choose the ones that can make you happiest. I don't think you can really be free until you're willing to let others be free. Only then are you relieved of that terrible responsibility for the way others act. Then you can expose yourself as you really are, because you needn't be acceptable to any particular individuals. You can let the appropriate individuals come to you because of what you are, and you can disregard those who reject you. This book is an example of that attitude. It should be obvious by now that I didn't write it in hopes of changing the world. I hope only to offer more ideas, more encouragement, and more alternatives to those who are receptive. My relationships with such people are mutually beneficial. I trade ideas for money, but I would never make my future dependent upon changing or controlling or persuading anyone. There are many people to whom those ideas are important, and those people are the primary reason I've written this book. I'm letting those people know that they are not alone, that they have every reason to follow their own minds, regardless of the views of those around them. Also, the book is part of my personal advertising campaign, revealing what I am to those who would approve. I know that there are plenty of people who see life in a way similar to mine. I've met many of them, and I know there must be many more. My life has been enriched by such people. Their presence has brought me thousands of days of stimulation, excitement, and happiness. With so many wonderful people alive, why should I focus on those with whom I have conflicts of interest? Why should I try to rally the kindred souls into a fruitless crusade to change the world? The world is already too beautiful, so full of wonderful opportunities that I couldn't possibly take advantage of all those already available to me. Why must I make the world better? The ultimate freedom. Freedom from the urge to control others has made my life more exciting than I could have imagined it could be 9 years ago. But beyond that, there's a further freedom that I seek. A freedom that can come only after losing the urge to control others. At that point, one is free to let himself be free. He's free to discover himself more intensely. He no longer needs to conform to any preconceived standard. He's free to let himself develop as his real nature dictates. This, of course, means getting completely and permanently out of the identity trap. It doesn't happen all at once. It develops in stages. There are constant discoveries to be made about oneself. There's no clear dividing line between being one's self and trying to be something other than oneself. You come to a point where you take yourself more and more seriously and begin to accept more and more of what you see in yourself. And then you come to another point where you feel you've never really seen yourself clearly before, and another point, and another. You continually achieve new levels of awareness of yourself. I call this freedom from the urge to change yourself. I don't feel I've fully earned this freedom, so there's little more I can say about it. But I know that every step closer to it provides its own benefits. As with other freedoms, it doesn't have to be achieved in toto in order to be rewarding. Every day, I am more and more willing to accept myself as I am. I regard my nature as a given fact, and then work to satisfy myself as I am. I can't say whether I will ever completely lose the urge to control my own nature. I know only that everything I do to move closer to that goal is of great benefit to me, and I know how valuable it has been to me to lose the urge to control others. So I expect to continue to benefit as I become less inclined to control myself. The future. Where you go with these ideas will be up to you. Wherever you go, it should be fun. Life is an adventure, not a burden. So many people spend so much of their lives trying to unravel the mysteries of the universe, trying to understand the meaning and purpose of such things as wars, poverty, misery, complications, and boxes. Others try to gain the upper hand over life through religion, astrology, ESP, positive thinking, or drugs. Why? All they need to do is open their eyes and see what is in front of them. A beautiful world with every opportunity for freedom and happiness. If others choose to make the world's ills their business, let them. If others choose to fight the politicians' wars, it's unfortunate, but that's their choice. It doesn't have to be yours. You can make a wonderful life for yourself. You have everything you need to do it. Let others fight their campaigns for themselves. Don't forfeit the only life you have. Use it to make living everything you've ever wanted it to be. Use the years ahead of you to advance the only really important cause that exists: your freedom and happiness. You can have it if you concentrate on yourself and what you need for happiness, instead of worrying about what others think and do. You are the ruler of your world, and no one can dethrone you unless you choose to let him. No one can stop you from living as you want to live, unless you disregard your own sovereignty. There is so much you can have, and it will be yours to keep, to cherish, and enjoy without guilt or insecurity. You won't be depending upon your ability to hold things together. You'll be enjoying what is easily and firmly yours. You will be involved with people who want you to be what you are, and who will enthusiastically give you, without sacrifice, what you want to have. I can't express how much I appreciate your spending this time with me. I hope that it has added something useful and beneficial to your knowledge and opportunities. We will probably never meet, but I want you to know that I am on your side, and I wish you the very best.